All right, let's dive into a symbol that has fascinated mystics for literally centuries. We're going to uncover a hidden mathematical structure that suggests this ancient diagram is way more than just a metaphor. It might actually be a map of reality itself. It's a great question, right? Because on one hand, you've got this esoteric, mystical quest for spiritual transformation, and on the other, you have this super rigid, logical world of abstract algebra. Well, we're about to explore a stunning and totally unexpected bridge between these two worlds, and it all starts with this one powerful symbol, the philosopher's stone. So for centuries, spiritual alchemists have been using this symbol, but not for the reason you might think, trying to turn lead into gold. The goal was much deeper. It was a guide for personal transformation. The real treasure wasn't wealth, but achieving inner harmony, a sense of wholeness, and spiritual enlightenment. Yeah, so it's so much more than some old myth about living forever or having endless riches. Think of it as a diagram, a blueprint for the union of our physical and our spiritual selves. It's basically a map for becoming the highest version of yourself. Okay, so how does it all work? Well, to really unlock what it means, you have to decode its core components. The circle, the square, the triangle. These aren't just random shapes thrown together. Each one plays a very specific role in this spiritual blueprint. Let's start with the circle. This represents spirit, or consciousness. You can think of that outer circle as the divine universe, the macrocosm. But that inner circle, that represents the divine spark inside you, the microcosm. It's this beautiful reminder that divinity isn't just something out there, it's also in here. And then you've got the square, which is this really stark contrast to the fluid nature of the circle. Where the circle is infinite spirit, the square is the solid, tangible reality of the physical world and our physical bodies. It's grounded. And the triangle? Well, that's the bridge. It's the dynamic force that connects the other two. It symbolizes that incredible moment of creation and transformation that happens when the spiritual and the material are finally brought into harmony. It's what makes the whole thing tick. Okay, hold on to that blueprint of spirit, matter, and union, because now we're taking a huge left turn. We are leaving the world of ancient allegory and jumping straight into modern mathematics, specifically something called discrete algebra, which studies these fixed, countable structures. And that's where we find this object called the CORE model. And this right here is where things get really, really interesting. What if the alchemists weren't just making up a nice metaphor? What if they had actually stumbled upon and mapped out a fundamental pattern that's literally woven into the fabric of the universe itself? The CORE model is a mathematical structure that's built from a super simple starting point. All the ways you can arrange the numbers 0 through 9. Think of it like a machine with gears that can only fit together in one single specific way. That's what parameter-free means. There's zero room for human opinion or adjustment. Its structure is totally locked in by the laws of math. It's not open to interpretation. And when you put the ancient symbol and this modern mathematical object side by side, the alignment is perfect. And I don't mean it's just a loose metaphor. In mathematics, this is called a structural isomorphism, which is really just a fancy way of saying they are the exact same structure, just described in two completely different languages. Just look at this. The circle, representing the spiritual container, it maps directly to the CORE model's cauldron layer. That's the system's encompassing shell. The square, or matter, maps to the central brace, which is the stabilizing core. And the triangle, the union, you guessed it, it maps to the bridging axis, the part that literally joins everything else together. So this leads to this really incredible conclusion, and this quote just nails it. The idea is that the mathematical pattern, the geometry, it existed first as a fundamental truth of the universe. The ancient alchemists, using their intuition and symbolism, they simply discovered this pre-existing structure and gave names to its parts. Okay, but how do we prove this isn't just a really clever coincidence? The model absolutely has to be parameter-free, no arbitrary choices allowed. So if you've got 4 axes of symmetry, there are 24 different ways you could label them. How do you pick the right one without just guessing? Well, this is how. The model uses a simple arithmetic rule called the quadratic moment. You take each pair of numbers that defines an axis, you square them, and you add them together. And look what happens. You get 4 completely unique values: 29, 65, 73, and 117. Since every value is different, there's only one correct way to order the access. The numbers lock in the geometry all by themselves. No guessing required. But wait, because the connection gets even deeper. What happens when you force this mathematical engine to operate inside the rules of a different geometric pattern? When you constrain it like that, it reveals this absolutely stunning, complex symmetry, one that you usually only find in the most advanced areas of theoretical physics. This part is honestly just wild. The system reveals a property called triality, a super rare three-way symmetry pattern. This is the kind of deep structure that physicists usually only find when they're dealing with really complex, high-dimensional objects in string theory. And yet, here it is, a perfect miniature echo of it, right here in a simple system built from just 10 digits. So how does this even happen? Well, when you map the model onto the seat-of-life geometry, it creates three totally distinct types of symmetry. Let's just call them A, B, and C. Now here's the magic. If you physically rotate the entire shape by 120 degrees, the underlying symmetries perfectly cycle into each other. A becomes B becomes C, and C becomes A again. A physical action creates a perfect logical loop. And that, right there, that is the signature of triality. So, all of this brings us to a really profound question about the nature of reality itself. We've gone all the way from an ancient symbol of spiritual wholeness to a mathematical engine that's echoing symmetries from the absolute frontiers of modern physics. What on earth does this connection really mean? And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. Is it possible that mathematicians with their rigorous proofs and mystics with their ancient symbols are just walking different paths to the exact same destination? Are they both, just in their own languages, rediscovering the same fundamental pre-existing patterns of the universe? It suggests that the structure of reality might be written in a code that's both numbers and symbols, just waiting for us to decipher it.